Hey everyone, and welcome to the Polygon Forest. I am Ubisoft concept artist Vin Hill, and I am joined, as ever, by the indie developer Christopher Jarvis.
Hello.
The AI art thing it's fine. It's just like if you're not an illustrator, then you really don't have much of a leg to stand on for that sort of stuff.
Or matte painter.
Yeah, I mean matte painters even, because matte painters these days mostly use photo techniques. But the argument which I had, and I put a thread about this on Twitter, like if you are interested, go check it out at Hillfort Games. And I went on a bit of a rant because I was kind of annoyed by a bunch of seeing my fellow concept artists complaining about AI art generation when, you know, they've been photo bashing for years and stealing people's photography and putting it into their own work without any credit or even mentions. And then they have the goal to turn around and say like AI art is not fair. It's like, that's, to me, it's just the biggest form of hypocrisy that I've seen in a very long time in our industry. So I know for illustrators that are making this stuff from scratch, like I'm all on board for helping those guys out and raising my voice for them, because their original work, which they're putting love, sweat and tears into, like is actually getting lifted by these things. But for people that are using photos in their concepts, like, just shut up. Like, seriously, like you've got no moral legs to stand on. I don't really understand how people can have the balls to do that. But yeah,
if you've ever used an image created by someone else and it's aided you either in your portfolio, getting a job, or in the actual day-to-day job,
exactly,
then you are profiting off of the back of other people. But, you know, the games industry is a very sharing community. Like, we like to do that. Very rarely do people putting claims for, you know, this is our mechanic, you can't use this, like copyright claims for like mechanics and bits of
that, and that's why it seems a bit out of the ordinary that all the concept artists are coming out and boycotting ArtStation and deleting their ArtStation Pro accounts and removing stuff from their portfolios and saying, oh, this, you know, say no to AI art because it steals other people's work. Like, that is just rich, honestly. Like, it's really, it kind of makes me angry that like they even think they're on that high horse. Like, people will notice I've not really said anything about the ethics of theft when it comes to AI stuff. Automation and taking jobs. Like, we can actually absolutely have that conversation. But in terms of, you know, the ethics behind it, it's just like we really don't have any moral high ground on this whatsoever. It's hard to justify like how we can say, oh yeah, it's bad for AI to steal our artwork, but it's okay for us to steal photography from other folks. And if you have a conversation with people that make these photography pieces, like these wonderful works of art that we take, for the most part, they don't know this is even happening, that concept artists are doing this. And when you tell them, they're kind of uncomfortable about it. They don't really like it. Like, the amount of conversation, like, I've contacted people before that have had good photography, like packs on their websites or whatever, and asked them, like, hey, do you supply like a photo pack? And 9 times out of 10, whenever I've done that, they've always replied and been like, what's a photo pack? What do you use it for? And I have to explain to them exactly what concept artists do and how they sort of operate, because 95% of the photos that I use are from like paid photo packs, so they're aware of that. But the other 5%, like, I absolutely go into Google and just like lift this shit, like everyone does, because it's what we do.
Everyone, yeah.
And we need to be honest about that. That's the thing. We can't like pretend that we're on this like different level plane from AI when we're doing the exact same thing. Like, it just crawls me. So yeah, I don't know. It's a funny old business. So who knows? Yep.
Let's open that up to the comments if you have a alternative view to Vin's.
Yeah.
Like quite a lot of people have seen on Twitter, then yeah, what are we missing? Where's the what's not?
Yeah, I just don't think people are being honest about it. That's the part that annoys me about it. Like, I've seen some concept artists which I follow and whom I really, really respect, and I've had a lot of respect for, like the concept artists that worked at Sucker Punch on Ghost of Tsushima, people that worked at Naughty Dog, like these absolute beasts of concept artists that have been like that I've looked up to for a long time in terms of their artwork and their skill, and they come out with this opinion like that AI is ethically bad because it steals other people's work, is just Like, you guys are just hypocrites, and it's really opened my eyes over the past couple of weeks, like seeing all that sort of stuff, because there's now generated this movement out of it, and they think that they've got this moral high ground. It's tough. It's really tough. Like, it's really hard to sort of explain it to people that aren't in our industry, that aren't being very honest about it. So it's tough.
And for me, it comes down to one thing. It's like those people that are using those kits to bash images, you could get there eventually. It's just a time-saving tool, right?
Yeah and no. That's the thing. Like, that's where the honesty comes in, because there's a lot of people that say, and I've said it myself as well, and it is mostly true, to say like, okay, yeah, we use photos to save time, which we do, but then there's also those occasions where there are certain textures and stuff that we just wouldn't be able to do without these photos, sort of thing. So while we can say like, it's just a time-saving tool, like, it's still not ethically, even if that was completely true, even if it was like 100% of the time a time-saving tool, which might be true for some concept artists, but absolutely not for others. Like, there are terrible artists out there that are really good concept artists because they use photos and they know how to manipulate them properly. But then there's other people.
I would say that. I'd say I could work my way around Photoshop pretty well to come up with some textures and stuff for my video game. But like, if I sat there with just color pad and some round brushes, I'd be lost.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people like that. I mean, there's older guys like myself that were sort of brought up in that time where we were painting everything, and we were getting used to that process of just constantly painting absolutely everything. And then we slowly morphed into Photoshop and became more about like the photo edits and stuff like that. But for the most part, it wasn't really like that. Once about 5 years ago, it's just like when you were learning concept art, you will learn how to photo manipulate instantly. So there's a lot of folks that are coming into the industry that have never painted anything in their life really from scratch. Like, they've always just been used to using photos. So it's like, while that is true for some people, it's not true for everyone, and people aren't really being honest about that. But even if that was true, even if it was true, like 100% of the people in the industry are painting that. If 100% of the people in the industry are able to paint everything and they're only using it as a time-saving tool, that's still not ethically right for us to say that, because it's kind of like, well, the only reason why I robbed from that bank was because I was going to get that money eventually. I was just saving time. That's basically what we're saying here. It's like, yeah, that's true, but like, you still robbed the bank. You know what I mean?
You still took something that wasn't yours and not passed it off as your own, because you're always being honest about where your sources come from. But
some people aren't. That's the point.
You still benefited from the work of others, and I guess we do that anyway, don't we? By looking at other people's work, we automatically take inspiration, and that's, I guess, it's not taking. It's like, we should probably just see it more like cooperating and more like teamwork. That's probably how you should see it, and inspiration and bouncing ideas off each other. That's probably the best way to square it in that hole, I think. For me, it's more like, it's cooperation with the industry, and there can be artists and they don't have to put things on the internet, and it doesn't get taken by the AI robot, and they can just live in their lives and they can look at all the images they want. That's absolutely fine. The thing is, though, I think it's because people are upset because it's a shame. It's a shame that there's a change of people's way of life, and that's always scary.
Sure. And it's coming fast.
There's money,
I think that's
money coming away from people. And whenever money comes away from people doing something artistic, and it goes to a robot doing something not as artistic, I guess.
I mean, the output is like, people keep saying that, but like, you hit that button and a piece of art comes out, if you like it or not. Like, it's sort of like, it is creativity in a sense. It's just how we sort of define it as creativity, because it's like a collage of everyone's creativity. So I don't know if I completely agree with like the whole AI art isn't real art. It's like, it kind of is. It's just not like truly original.
It's just truly original. But then, again, what is truly original, right?
Exactly, so, especially when you're using photos, right? Because like, then that technically isn't yours. It's bizarre. Like, the whole conversation is really bizarre, because everything that a concept artist does is exactly the same as what an AI bot does. Exactly the same, down to a T. Yeah.
Let's not get into the weeds of like, are the only real artists, which some people believe this, some people believe that only real artists are artists that spearhead a movement. As an opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
in terms of original art, I guess you could just, original artists spearhead movements.
Sure, and like I said, the original artists, like the illustrators, who that's the people that I'm looking at defending, is the people that are
just plucking something out of the head and drawing it
right from scratch and rendering the stuff out. Like they're the people that I'm looking at and being like, man, that sucks. Like it's brutal.
Because your brain is just being scraped a bit and put into a machine.
Yeah,
that's totally true.
And that's harsh. But just specifically like in the sphere of like seeing concept artists come out over the past few weeks, it's just like, you guys need to sit down, because like this is going to backfire big time, because someone's going to speak up eventually and just be like, yeah, you guys are kind of been doing this the whole time, so I don't really get it. But who knows? Like the thing is, like when it comes to automation always wins. That's the problem.
I think it'll fizzle out. I think the backlash will fizzle out.
It has to,
because I just hope we don't. I just hope it's just through natural wastage and not like, hey, there's huge massive layoffs because we didn't hit our arbitrary figures, and we can get rid of all the concept artists and we'll just employ 2 people that are really good at Google to come up with our concept art images. I just hope it's not done in that way, because that's in bad taste, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, because the way that the industry usually works, and what we've been doing for years, but there's never been any backlash against it, which is ironic again, is that over the years, the West in particular, so like North America and the UK and Europe and stuff, we've been slowly unionizing and giving people 5-day work weeks and like paying them overtime and like set amount of hours and all this sort of stuff. And we've been making all these laws and rules over years and years and years, so we can get to this point where everyone's treated fairly. That's all great. The problem is like a good third of the industry is outsourced to countries that don't have those things, so we can get cheaper labor, so we can get these things done faster. So what's going to happen is, like, while the entire West right now is rebelling against AI art, it's like no to artwork, no to AI art and all that sort of stuff, canceling my ArtStation account. It's like, all right, sweet guys, like we won't use AI art in the West. Awesome, that's great. All the companies are sat there going, that's fine. No worries.
We'll save even more money.
We'll save even more money, because what's going to happen now is like, okay, we just won't hire concept artists, nor will we use AI, but we'll just outsource companies in other countries that don't have these sorts of ethics in place. And we're hiring the studio for them to make the prompts, to make them go through the AI artwork. So instead of hiring a concept art team internally, we'll just hire the prompter studio from X country. That's
still be cheaper and quicker.
So either way, what's going to happen is that concept artists and illustrators are going to lose their jobs to someone or something. Either way, they're losing their job, right? So like all you're doing really right now is just protesting who you lose your job to. That's it. That's all that's happening. So it's tough. Like it's
still sad.
It's very sad, and it sucks. It's a sea change. And after this, it's very much going to be the 3D artists that are next for photoreal 3D artwork sort of stuff. But, it keeps us on our toes. It keeps competition high. It's just, it's definitely an interesting conversation, that's for sure. And it's definitely one that's going to come up again.
It might actually be, it could be, the positive spin on this could be that I don't say truly original and truly different. That's not really what I'm trying to say. There could be value in games that appear more visually unusual to competitors.
Yeah.
Because that might just be what humans get drawn to, because we're always drawn to novelty, right? And if you suddenly get a lot of cheap, popular FPSs that all look the same, the new one that looks different because it's had unique artists working, with AI, but to create visually interesting, different things, that could be where the money is. Like in original concepting, like an actual style, like stylized, there could be more value in that, because the cheap stuff could, come thick and fast, and so you have to wade through the visually boring stuff or samey stuff. To get the nuggets. That could be what happens. That's like the best case scenario, I suppose.
Yeah, I've heard this. I've heard people say this before, like internally at studio as well, and just the way that the assumption was that what we're going to end up doing is, because of all these AI bots are sort of learning off of photos, like we're going to get a lot of photorealistic stuff. So that therefore, like all the concept art that's going to be pumped out and all of the projects is all going to be photorealistic, right? So like it leaves this vacuum for stylized things to come through to be a little bit more unique. So at first we're going to saturate the market of all of this AI based concept art, like photorealistic stuff, and that just completely saturates all the projects that we do, and they're all photorealistic, and that's going to get boring after a while. So then that'll sort of bring in this new era of stylized stuff, which is a valid point. I just don't know because I've played around with AI art. Like I've tried Midjourney. So have you. Like we did it on the podcast one episode.
We did an episode.
Yeah, we played around with it. You can absolutely do stylized stuff as well in these bots as well. That's the only problem. So it's only a matter of time. Like, because we're looking at everything as it is right now. We're not looking at what it's going to be in 5 years' time. And 5 years is going to come really quick. And in terms of a concept artist that's currently now just entering uni this year, and they're due to sort of come out the other end of that in 4 years' time to be a concept artist. By that point, their job could be gone. And so that's how fast this stuff is moving, and that includes stylized stuff. So there's a really good chance that we'll probably get over that hump as well. So even if we do figure out, even if we do just realize that we're only making 3D photorealistic stuff, then eventually we are going to get to the point where we're doing stylized stuff as well through AI art as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating subject. I just hope that people are a little bit more honest, like while they're talking about this sort of stuff, especially concept artists, because it was really disappointing to see this week just how like blindsidedly hypocritical everyone was being. It was actually kind of shocking to me, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a shame. We'll see what happens. We'll check in 5 years' time and we'll see. I'll see what the situation.
We'll probably still be here. Yeah, like, do you remember when we said that 5 years ago and it just didn't happen? Yeah, that was true.
And we're in person, but we're in the metaverse.
Right, exactly.
We're talking like
this.
Yeah,
exactly. We've got like
how stupid were we sitting at home in our with our desks?
Yeah.
And like the script will be AI, and we'll just have our brain scans do the podcast for us.
I mean, they're doing that now. Like I saw a Marquez Brownlee video not too long ago. You know, what's his name? I know his real name, but I never know his YouTube handle. He's the tech guy. His name's Marquez Brownlee anyway. I don't know. He was MK something. I can never remember his name. But he was doing a video about like how AI art is never. Can AI like replace a content creator? And he went on this diatribe like the first 5 minutes of the video. It was like, well, it's not going to happen because of X, Y, and Z, and these are the reasons why we're always going to have like physical content creators, because AI just can't do these things. Like, for instance, they can't like come up with the content of the video. And then at that point he stops and he's like, well, actually it can, because everything I've just said, it was generated by an AI. I asked it a prompt and this is what it spat out. And that's what I've just been saying for the last 5 minutes. And you would not have known. Like, it was one-to-one. He was like, this is terrifying. I was like, Jesus, like that's wild. So
right,
it's coming. Like, it's coming after writers. It's coming after concept artists. It's 3D artists are next. Like, AI is already being heavily used in the coding industry. Like something called Copilot. People should look that up. It's terrifying, like the whole thing. So
I guess what we'll just be is everyone's just going to be editors, right?
Yep.
Everyone's just going to be an editor.
Yeah, everyone's going to be sketch artists. Like you draw a sketch and you throw it into an AI and then it renders it for you, which is great for people that aren't into rendering stuff. Like, it can be relaxing, but it can also be really boring to some people. So you become like a composition artist. You'll become an outline artist or like an outline writer. You know, stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's good.
Or everyone should be an editor. Yeah.
But it's good for like people that are solo developers or smaller teams, because they'll be able to wear a lot more hats and be able to make some really cool stuff. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly looking forward to the sort of textures and stuff I can come up with, instead of manipulating things I find on the internet that are free for commercial use, or manipulating things beyond all conceivable. You know, I've worked so much on it. I've spent half hour on it. It's a totally different image than what I started with. I think that's fine to use it in that case, because no one pixel is anywhere near the same as the original image of a pixel. I like using Midjourney to come up with some cool high definition funky textures.
And you are. This is the thing. Like, you are the the good use case for AI, and that's why I'm not like wholeheartedly against AI. For one, like it's kind of a bad position to be in, because for one, it's gonna win.
It's on the wrong side of history.
Right,
yeah.
It's gonna win. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can sit there and protest the printing press. Like, we are all just like reading stuff off our iPads now or our phones. Like, you can protest these things, but you will lose. So, but you are like the outcome, which I'm constantly looking at, which is this person that is you're pretty good and creative at a lot of things, but you're not an expert at anything, which is a good spot to be in for this technology, in my opinion. Like, you're actually going to be on the right side of this because you've tried so many different things. You'll be able to sort of create whole products rather than being sort of stuck in one lane. So that's...
Or have a say and be able to comment on everything, at least. Like, oh, I've done this, and when I, so I'm coming from a place of experience for a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And that's quite a useful place to be in for like a game studio.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not wholeheartedly against AI for that reason. It's because, like, I see both sides of the fence. It's for folks like you, and it's also like my job is going to become a Photoshop filter one day, and that's fine. Like, this is what happens. Like, unfortunately, like the people that used to cut film, literally like cut the film as it used to come out when they used to edit and like tape it back together and then put it back on the reel. Then people don't have jobs anymore. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like in the 90s when stop motion animators had to suddenly switch to using computers. It's the same thing. Like, we've got to. Yeah. It's just the way of the world, and it's automation at it's the age old story of automation. So
yeah, we dealt with 16-bit and 32-bit and 64-bit, and we were like pushing pixels around all those stages.
Pixel
of the way.
artists were pushed out of the way. It's
pixel
it's
artists,
the same thing.
Job dies. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny old world. Anyway, we should watch some trailers, I think.
Let's watch some trailers. That's enough of that. We'll post that up as a separate clip, probably.
Yeah, why not?